Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a topic that many people on the internet have been paying close attention to recently. China's newborn population hitting a record low in 2025. According to the latest data, in 2025, China's number of births fell below the 8 million mark, settling at 7.92 million. This is the lowest figure since the Chinese Communist Party took power in 1949. Some netizens have even said that this number has fallen back to the level of the Qianlong era of the Qing Dynasty. It is worth noting that, according to historical Chinese data, during the Qianlong period, China's population was exceeded 300 million at its peak. Whereas today, the CCP claims China has a population of 1.4 billion. Well, in reality, it's probably 50% of that, which is 700 million. Well, saying in this context, the increment in newborns is truly shocking and deeply worrisome, right? And in a sense, Xi Jinping has completely surpassed Mao Zedong. You must understand that even during the 3 years of famine and the Cultural Revolution, the increase in newborns in China never dropped below 10 million per year. So why is this happening? Have Chinese people stopped having children? Many people say young people don't want to have children because they are simply selfish. Uh, let's first take a look at a set of data, okay? The Chinese Academy of Social Sciences Institute of Finance, in its China Household Wealth Survey report released in early 2025, shows that the death ratio of those born in the 1990s is as high as 78.3%. And the average debt is 121,000 yuan. And 56.7% is mortgages, and 32%, 1% is consumer loans. The rest of business loans and education loans. And in contrast, although those born in the 1970s have higher average debt, 83.5% of it is mortgages. And consumer loans account for only 8.2%. So today's young people are carrying the heaviest burden in history. So many young people take on debt before even leaving campus, right? When they first enter the workforce, in order to get married and buy a home, they join their family's 6 wallets and then take on 30 years of mortgages payments. Even more frightening is the survival debt. To maintain that basic dignity in daily life, online loans and credit cards have become routine for many people. When half your monthly salary goes to mortgage payments and the other half goes to various installments, your balance sheet is already deeply in the red. And let alone the percentages of people who's been working every day and don't get paid. Okay, in this situation, having a child is no longer the crystallization of love, but rather an upgrade of debt. For someone who hasn't even redeemed their own future yet, how could they dare to start another life? I wouldn't. Beyond that, there is also extreme uncertainty about the future and even a complete loss of hope. So, everyone knows the current employment situation in China. In 2025, unemployment remains extremely high. According to internal system Intel, youth unemployment within communist China has reached has reached 37%. So when you can't even support yourself, how can you think about marriage and have children, right? So faced with this situation, the ruling Chinese Communist Party has also grown anxious. So after all, the party is worried about they won't have enough leaks in the future. So it rolled out various so-called childbirth subsidy policies. In reality, when many local governments can barely pay their own employees' salaries, how can they possibly deliver on subsidies of several thousand yuan? There have even been cases where young parents who had a second child stormed civil affairs offices holding their babies, demanding the government honor its promised subsidies. This kind of bitterness and helplessness is the best contraceptive advertisement imaginable for poor parents and a government with no credibility, right? When people feel disappointed or even desperate about the future, not having children is also a form of compassion. Don't you think so? In the past, we often said thriving population and more children, more blessings. That was the traditional logic of China for thousands of years. But by 2026, this logic has completely collapsed. Today, many young people share a common understanding. Having children is no longer inheritance, but adding a soft underbelly to yourself. Many overseas Chinese or foreign friends may find it difficult to understand why children have become a soft underbelly, but in today's China, this is the brutal reality. So, why are children soft underbelly? Because under this system, your child becomes leverage used against you. Do you remember that threat which shocked both China and the world? That line, his soft underbelly is his song. That was in November, on November 25th, so 2021, a staff member of a Tiantongyan community in Beijing threatened the resident, one of its resident, and he was saying somebody recorded this on site. Okay, the priest was saying, "Oh, find a dark place and detain him for 3 days. His soft underbelly is his song. Let's see which charge fits him best." Whew, this is not just a threat. It is the underlying logic of how the CCP's authoritarian system operates. Citizens of free and democratic countries can never understand how the CCP uses children as weapons to control its own people. Public power can reach directly into your home. Your child is your soft underbelly, and that is its weapon, right? In such an environment, when you cannot even protect yourself, how can you protect your child? Look at the frequent reports of school bullying and even students who mysteriously disappear on campus, vanishing in blind spots of surveillance cameras, right? This sense of insecurity spreads like a plague. Even more children are the reports involving organ donation and abnormal death. When the system cannot explain the truth behind the Wu Xinyu cases, quote, when the public begins to worry whether children could become spare parts reserves for privileged groups, then having a child is equivalent to personally sending out a body that may be bullied, harvested, or threatened. And there's another story happened during the pandemic. That was during the Shanghai lockdown. A man who tested negative for COVID and firmly refused the illegal police transfer for him to another place. And the officer was threatening him that if you don't go with me, if you are resisting me, then this will be a three generations of your family would be affected. And his answer is, this is our last generation. Thank you. So it was called an epic line documenting this great era. Sure, great. The CCP's rule ends with me. The suffering you impose ends with me. We don't know, we no longer need a future. We no longer have a future. So that was not a joke. It was the ultimate awakening after despair. So young people realized that the only bargaining chip they had left was not having children. This is a silent resistance and the most thorough form of non-violent non-cooperation. If I cannot choose my vote, I will refuse to produce future dividends for the CCP. If I cannot change reality, I will not let the next generation repeat this suffering. If the CCP needs endless batteries and human minds, then we will cut off the power source. So 7.92 million newborns, this number should push more people to understand the truth behind it, to think more about it. Beyond being unable to afford children or not wanting children, there is a more important reason: unable to have children. So this is an even more brutal and serious reality than personal choices. The disastrous consequences of COVID vaccines are not only a Chinese issue. Across Asia, China, Japan, South Korea, record low birth rates are no longer news. And Europe faces the same crisis. Finland's birth rate has fallen by 1/3 since 2010. Switzerland, England, Scotland, and Wales have all hit record lows. Poland's birth rate is the lowest in 200 years. Greece has the lowest birth rate in Europe. Spain, Italy, Austria, and Germany have remained at extremely low levels for 35 consecutive years. So Elon Musk has also said, Many countries' birth rates are this issue. They stated bluntly that the core impact of COVID vaccines is sex and reproduction. Humanity is now facing a birth rate collapse crisis because COVID vaccines are, in fact, a large scale sterilization program. Two peer reviewed studies found that mRNA COVID vaccines destroy more than 60% of women's non renewable eggs and reduce pregnancy success rates by 33%. And the consequences of all these disasters were already warned about by Mr. Mao's goal on November the 10th of 2020. He warned the world that the COVID pandemic was only the beginning and the evil forces led by the CCP would use the pandemic to promote vaccines. So, and both COVID virus and COVID vaccines are biological weapons. 6 years have passed. Every then Mr. Gore warned about, unfortunately, has become realities. Global newborn numbers collapsing and surges in myocarditis, heart disease, cancer. This is a cruel confirmation, but it is becoming a new crisis. And this crisis will affect human society far more than geopolitical or energy crisis. So what should we do? What can we do? Moscow also has given the world an answer. Artemisinin can effectively detox the CCP virus or CCP COVID vaccines from the body. Ironically, the very person who first warned the world about all of this, because he vowed to take down the true culprit, the Chinese Communist Party, still has no freedom today and remains imprisoned in the United States. But the cause he started will not stop, and he will return for sure. We are patiently waiting for the hero to return. Welcome to follow our channel, and we will continue to bring you real in-depth news analysis and precise anti-brainwashing content. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.